Hello everyone, how you doing? Welcome back to TSW5, and in this one I'm going to run one of the scenarios on the West Coast Mainline South. I don't normally run the scenarios in a video, but I thought, why not? This one's the Watford Bypass, and I've chosen this one particularly because of the bad weather. I mean, look at it. This is Milton Keynes Central. It's an absolute stinker, this one today. We're in the photo mode, so I'm going to pop out. Good morning, please unlock the doors at Milton Keynes to allow passengers to board. The weather is variable today with thunderstorms in the region causing chaos. So that's what we're faced with. We can get the... Let's just acknowledge that alarm, shall we? That's been a bit annoying. We'll unlock the doors. Shall we set up the rest of the cab whilst we're waiting? The master key's already on. It's already in forwards. How are we doing for lights? The instrument lights we'll put on bright. Why not? We're on day running. Safety systems. Why not? We always do it. First of all, if I can get there, that's the AWS views, and then working from right to left, we've got the DSD, and then right at the end we've got the vigilance. We'll acknowledge that one in a moment, and then the final one is the AWS. Let's get back in the chair so we can stop all that nonsense. There we go. That's everything ready to go. So yeah, it's pretty grim, that, isn't it? It really is a very bleak morning. We're just in the morning. It's 7 minutes to 12 midday. Let's get the doors closed. I assume in this scenario we're going to have some disruption with all this weather. Oh, there we go. We've had word that the fast lines between Watford Junction and Euston have been closed due to numerous signal failures and some track work failures. Although this complicates matters and has the potential to make us late, we've not been cancelled. Please set off when ready. Right, so I always get a feeling in these that it's not going to be a straight run, this, down to Euston. There's going to be something. Which is good, because you don't get that in the service, do you? You just get the straight A to B, with your stops in between. So on this one, we might get a couple of surprises, or at least something a little bit different. So we can get up to speed out of here. We're straight up to 125. Yeah, I was conscious of the fact that we've obviously played the West Coast Mainline South quite a bit over the last few weeks, and I was trying to remember, have I played it in anything but good weather? I don't think so. We've done early mornings, we've done later nights, but I think the weather's always been pretty decent, so we'll take a look at it in this. This is what it's normally like, isn't it? In real life, let's face it. So many of you have probably completed this scenario. I know some of you, when you get a new DLC, you start with the scenarios and get those boxed off. As you know, I've started using the journey mode a lot, and usually within the journey chapters, the scenarios are dotted around in those chapters. So I used to do them all as a list, mainly because when I was playing it on the PlayStation only, there generally was a trophy for completing all scenarios. So I used to do the scenarios quite quickly, but not now. I like to mix it up a little bit. So we're going to need to keep our eye on the signals for this one. Watford's coming up in 29 miles. It's a go via. But I'm hoping we see some traffic, and there is actually the 66. That reminds me, the 66. The October Mastery Challenge is now live, if that's your kind of thing. And I said the 66 reminds me because one of those challenges is to drive 10 miles in October in the Class 66. So there's a few different things. There's do a couple of training modules in the training centre. There is run a couple of scenarios. I don't think it says which. I think there's a mileage target as well. So if that's your kind of thing, you know, it'll give you a little task list. What it's going to do, these are going to be monthly challenges. It's going to give you a different badge for each month that you complete. You can already see them on the DTG forums, actually. You can see what those badges are. But you can use them as decals in the livery designer. So if you're big into your livery designing, you can start putting them on the side of your trains if you want to. I will probably do the challenges. I'm not that fussed about the actual decals themselves. I'd like to have a little badge next to my Dovetail Live ID or something like that, you know, something where I can display it in game to say which ones I've got. It might show that in the mastery section of the UI. I don't know yet. I'll try and complete the first one as quick as I can, and I'll take a look and see what that's all about. But again, if you just want to drive the trains or guide the trains, then you know, carry on doing that. But yeah, if you do like something to work towards, there you go. So this is going to be a monthly thing, as I understand, which is fine. Right, we're coming up to speed, so let's get the speed set on, shall we? Everything's looking good. We've got the wipers going. This horrible there. Going into the tilt, looks pretty good. One thing that I do find strange, and maybe I need to turn it down a little bit. In this view right now, I can hear the birds cheeping away, and if you were like, you know, if you were going that speed with the train, I doubt you would hear them. So I think I've got the ambient noise whacked up to full, so I might have a tinker with that. Nice bit of traffic actually. So there's a 350 came past as we were going through there, looking at the tilt. So the grip was fine, by the way. That's another thing. I haven't tested the physics of this Pendolino. So we left in the rain, and I whacked it straight pretty much into notch 4. We seem to have a decent grip. Now, I don't know if that's a characteristic of the Pendolino, or whether, you know, it's the way the physics are set up in TSW, but you seem to cope alright. I think, do we have auto sanding on this? I'm not really sure. Where is the sanding? There'll be a sanding somewhere, which I've not yet had to encounter, so yeah, I don't know. Ah, we go into a tunnel, wouldn't you know it? Right, there we go. So I'm keeping an eye up the top of there. We've got a green and we've got 2 yellows, but as you know, sometimes with this mini hood, it tends, you go through the green and the lights tend to update themselves pretty much straight away to green, which is probably something that needs looking at. So it's still showing 2 yellows at the moment. I'll just keep an eye on it. There is a decent amount of traffic, I'm not going to lie, in this scenario. There's a 350 there, accompanying us on the way in, going slightly slower. But we do have a double yellow, so I'm going to start bringing the speed off, because we are at the full 125 and we don't want any problems. I expect that 350, if he's cleared all the way through, he will go past us. Let's make sure we stop for this red. We don't want to do an oxenome. If you don't know what doing an oxenome is, link coming up right now in the top right hand corner, then you'll understand. I've clipped it from the main video where I actually did an oxenome. If you're regulars, you'll know what that is. Right, there he goes. He's got priority over me, which seems a bit wrong. Here's our red. Actually, I didn't want to go into emergency, did I? We might not stop here. Wow, that was close. Actually, you know what? It looks closer. It looks closer from within the cab than it does outside. It's like literally right there. So we nearly did an oxynorm. So nobody's getting off at this light, so we're alright. But that could have left us in a sticky situation. We must have some traffic coming towards us, have we? Let's have a look. Got somebody in the station there. That is that Tring? Yeah, it's Leighton Buzzard. It's Leighton Buzzard. So yeah, we'll just wait our turn. There we go. Got a yellow. Good. Let's try going to notch 4 again, just out of interest. I like this detail with the axles there turning. We've still got 19 miles into Watford, you know. And we've got a yellow ahead. So just whilst I remember, I think we are due a roadmap stream anytime. Keep your eye out on the forums for that to be announced. I think we're due one at any time. That'll be interesting. I think that is the first one since TSW5, is it? I think September's didn't take place because of the launch of TSW5, if I recall correctly. So I'm hoping there is some decent details on there. I'm hoping above all else that we're going to get some sort of release date for the West Coast Main Line overshot by Just Trains. As soon as the roadmap is released, I will be scanning straight down there for that. I honestly don't know how near it is to release, but I'm hoping it's, you know, it's pretty close. And of course, you know, we will probably expect, what are we now, October, maybe 1 to 2 DLCs to be releasing by the end of 2024. So the Just Trains one is already, that's going to be one. We know that already. So there should be another one, and I don't know what that's going to be. So hopefully, you know, we get that kind of schedule as well. I don't know if they'll announce that on the roadmap streams. I think they like to do a separate reveal for that kind of thing. We'll find out. Let's check the schedule, shall we? Yeah, we're straight to London. Once we go via Watford, we're straight to London. I'm keeping my eye on these lights though. Apart from that red, nothing's really happened yet. We might even catch back up with that 350, you know. I'll just ease the power off and we'll coast, I think, a little bit. And I'll just change to green. I said a little bit close to that red for my liking on that last one. The 66 on its way out. That's something I've not played very much yet on this route. The 66. I've done a couple of runs, not on the channel, just in my own time, and they're fairly decent runs. So yeah, we might do one of those as well. coming up soon. Still want another freight loco over and above the... I mean, I like the 66, don't get me wrong. I do like the 66, but I would love to have something else. I don't know, a 67. Anything. Something. Something that's not a 66. I think the very fact that the 66 is in those mastery challenges shows that, you know, most players will be already using the 66 somewhere. And for that mastery challenge, by the way, it's not linked to any route. It's TSW in general, so it's 10 miles in the 66 on any route. Doesn't have to be this route. Now, this might be the only British route that you've got, in which case you may have to run it on here, but many of us have got lots of routes with the 66 on. But I've got a couple of yellows and we've still got 13 miles out of Watford, so we're just going to take it nice and easy. I don't think we're subject to any timings on this as to when we should arrive in London, although it might give us that once we get through Watford. That objective might update. But we should be cautious, I think. This is still my favourite train out of the TSW 5 stuff that was released. This is still my favourite, followed by the 350, then probably the German stuff after that. And it was interesting when I did the poll on the channel community post and I asked you guys what is your favourite route out of the three. Overwhelmingly this one came out on top, and I would probably expect that because lots of you are UK based. Not all, but a few of you are UK based. And it is a good route. It's a close one between this and the German route, I would say. But a lot of you will know this as well. And I hope you all had a chance as well just to see that little comparison video that I did between the real London Euston and the one that's in the game, because I did that. I was down there last week and I came in on platform 14 at London Euston. So as I walked down, I just got my phone out and started filming it. And of course what I try to do then in the game is go to platform 14 in the game, and as best I can I try to like keep it pace for pace. I kind of lost it slightly when I got to the front of the Pendolino, but hopefully that gave you a look at what the real London Euston looks like compared to what it looks like in the game. I think it's kind of a decent job. Obviously the passengers is going to be a problem, because what I did in that video, I think it was 9:12 in the morning when I arrived. So to keep it fair, I set the game to 9:12. Well, I set it to 9. I can't set it to 9:12. I set it to 9:10, and then waited until 9:12, and then walked down the platform in the game. So it was exactly the same time of day. I set the weather the same, even though we were inside. I know it makes a difference to the lighting and whatnot. So it was like for like, same platform. There was a train in, and you can definitely tell where you are. The passengers is the biggest thing. The passengers is the biggest thing, and the lighting. Now the lighting is being looked at. I know the lighting's being looked at. Some of these routes have a kind of high contrasty look to them, don't they? I mean, this one, in this weather, it doesn't look like that. But under certain conditions, it does. And it is noticeable, you know. It looks a little bit washed out in places sometimes. I thought it did at Euston Station in that video, comparing it to the real one. But as I said, Euston Station, it's been looked at, and Euston Station in particular is somewhere where it's been looked at. That's been mentioned. So, again, on the road map, we might get some information on that as to what little tweaks are coming. So I hope you enjoyed that one. I just did that one for a bit of fun, because I know everybody likes the comparison ones, especially if you've never been to London Euston and you're never likely to get to London Euston, then it's even more interesting for you. So yeah, I don't mind doing those ones. It's only a quickie, it's just a couple of minutes. There's that 350 that passed us earlier. And we are not far out of Watford now. I'm speeding up slightly just to pick up the pace. I think this scenario is around 40 to 45 minutes from memory. It's the first time I've run it, by the way. I've not run this yet. But I think in the scenarios, this is one of the sort of middle duration ones. I think we've got a couple that are about an hour. We've got some about half an hour. So the traffic's still coming. That's good. It's nice to see. That's the good thing about the scenarios. They can be the traffic can be placed, can't it? The weather hasn't improved at all yet since we left Milton Keynes, by the way. Still very, very wet. So this scenario will be using the dynamic weather, of course, so you never know. By the time we get to Euston, it might have brightened up slightly. Who knows? Right, we've got a 110 coming up, so we'll put some step one of brake in. Bring that down. And we're coming up to Watford, 3 miles out of Watford, so looks as if, unless it changes, we'll just get held outside Watford perhaps. So we'll go slow into this. There's the double yellow, which has just gone green actually. Bring it down to about 100, I think. Double yellow. So I'll bring it down a little bit more. We'll avoid using the emergency brake this time. You can actually see Watford Station now on the minimap, marked in blue, top right hand corner. Right, we need to be down to 50 after the signal, so... And the good news is that the red in Watford Station is just cleared, so we should be able to pass all the way through Watford rather than be held. wonder if we'll see any 710s in this scenario as well. Because I do, of course, have the suffragette line installed, which gives us the 710. There's a 350 there. I saw a train spotter then. Did you see that train spotter? Someone was taking a photograph of me as I came through. Indeed, there's a 710 over there in the bay platform. So that's Watford Junction. We've got 14 miles into Euston, coming to Euston platform 7. Oh wow, do you see that? We got thunderstorms. You can actually hear the thunder as well. Don't know if you can hear that. Can we hear it better outside? There's lightning flashes and thunder. The weather's a right old mess. Right, let's get to London, shall we? Tried this scenario, let me know. I know some of you don't actually play the scenarios, do you? I know a lot of you just play the services, just do the timetable. If you don't play scenarios, why is that? Are they a bit gimmicky for you? Is that what it is? Do you just prefer to drive the actual service? I know there's definitely those of you out there that don't play them. And if you're thinking about scenarios and you do play them, what's the most ridiculous scenario you've done in TSW? I was trying to think about this the other night. You know what prompted me? There was one recently. If you picked up the 5 circle, there was one where you were driving the train, and at various stations along the line, you had to jump out of the train, run along the platform, and empty the bin. I don't know what that's all about. Why would the train driver empty the bin? It's just that right there could be the craziest one I've done. I'm not sure. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. It was kind of like a scenario where we drive down and run the actual, you know, stops along the way, but we need to give the driver something else to do. I don't know. I did it, but I found that one a bit strange. If you know of any that I mean, I've probably run them all, there's, you know, over the years, but there's been that many of them I can't remember. If you know of any that are more daft than that one, let me know. Maybe we can run it. No, we've had collectibles, haven't we? With little goblins on the goblin line. Actually, it's a recent one. We've had little goblins where, when you find them, they let out a little giggle. That's a bit crazy as well, and it's actually a bit unnerving. I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit unnerving. Unless it's for a trophy, I don't really go for the collectibles. I think with these TSW5 routes that we've got, I was looking on PlayStation, so it'll be the same on PC and Xbox, but I was looking down the PlayStation list, and I do believe that for all 3 routes that we got for TSW5, you do have to, if you want the full set of achievements, you do have to get the collectibles for each route. On PlayStation I did get the full set for the West Coast Mainline South, but I haven't bothered for the other 2 quite yet. I'm deciding whether I'm going to do it or not. I'm too much into the driving and guarding at the moment to go off and do the collectibles, but they'll always be there, so you know, you can get them over time, so I'm not too worried. Right, We've got a 90, so we're fine for that. A couple of yellows coming up. There's the first one. Let's just take the power off. We'll coast a little bit. It's over 9 miles into Euston. I think as a driver, obviously this is where your route knowledge comes in as well. Because things look so much different. Different weathers. Obviously, night or day. Night especially. And that's a good trick, that, isn't it? You know, that drivers employ. How they know where they are. I mean, it might be a little bit more easier than I'm thinking, you know, with good route knowledge, but, you know, when you're playing it in Train Sim World, we've got all these elements of the HUD, if you choose to use them. And you've got the map as well, which you can just call up. And you kind of always know where you are. But as a real driver, obviously that route knowledge is key. And it's not just knowing where you are, it's also knowing where to brake as well. And how soon to brake. It's these things hurtling along at 125 miles per hour. You've not got much chance to get it wrong, have you? It's quite a scary thought, that, really. I'll be sticking to the simulator. Although I would like to, I would love to have a go at one of these. I mean, it's never going to happen, but I'd love to have a go on a Pendolino. I can tell you that straight away. Traffic's picked up again here, look, just outside London. Got a bit of stuff going in and out. The 75 coming up very shortly. Straight after this station, in fact, which I believe is Wembley. Which actually is recognisable. So there you go, I've answered my own point. You know, if I went through there, I'd know exactly where I was. I don't think we'll see the stadium. We might, if it's got lights on it. It's over there in that muck somewhere. A little bit out of the draw distance for this type of weather, I think. It was a little bit like this actually when I went down to London last week. It wasn't heavy rain, but it was kind of, you know, moderate drizzle on and off with a little bit heavier sort of throughout the day, on and off showers. Wasn't as grey as this, but it was getting there. I've got a 75 coming up, so I'm going to keep it where we are right now. It's been quite a fun scenario so far. Not as much has happened in it as I thought would happen. Although that first red, I was a bit risky on that first red. I think you know, if you manage your speed on the way down, and you don't try to, you know, go full hammer the whole way down, you can probably also, you know, like I did, avoid the need for you to actually need to stop at Watford. Because as we were coming into Watford, the light went from red to yellow. So otherwise, if it would have been slightly earlier, we would have had to come to a stop. Do 710s here at the depot. It's nice to see. Just over 4 miles. I never think when I'm doing a service, just a normal service, I never think to set the weather to rain. Oh, this is the flashing tunnel, so we know exactly where we are. That's been fixed, by the way. That's definitely been fixed. That's on the list. This weather looks good. Sorry, this game looks good in snow, and it looks good in rain like this. And unless the dynamic weather randomises it for me, I don't tend to choose anything but clear weather. And it's a shame. And I need to do a little bit more of it. I mean, the weather system's been pretty decent for quite some time, but I've never really changed it. I like to just get on and drive, you know. It's nice to see these overground trains though. And if you haven't got the suffragette line, which is what is providing that AI level of stock there, then yeah, have a consider about, you know, consider getting the suffragette line at some point. I mean, that's a good route in itself. I think a lot of us have said that it's one of DTG's better routes they've done recently. So you'll get the suffragette line, but then you'll also be able to layer the 710 onto here. It's got its own timetable between Euston and Watford, which is quite nice if you want a slower type of service. You can do that as well. We played the 710 on the live stream a week or so ago, but I will make a video on that as well. I think that's the only one we've not covered so far, via a video, that is. Two miles, and we've got a red in here, or at the end. You can just see it at the end of the tunnel. So, oh, not into emergency. No, not into emergency. Don't do that to me. We don't need the emergency. It is quite easy. Sometimes you need to drive a particular train quite a lot to remember how many notches of power, how many notches of brake there is. Now, I always remember there's 4 notches of power for the Pendolino. The brakes, I tend to forget because they're all different. So I think was that 6 or 7 just then, before we got to the emergency. I was expecting it to half come up and say full service, but it didn't. There was no full service. I went straight out 1 notch into emergency, which is not very good. But as you've seen twice now, if you knock it into emergency, it's quite easy to get out of it. You basically just need to sit and wait, and it recovers, and then you'll see the brakes come away, and then you'll be able to continue on. So we've got a yellow. I've just been waiting for this 350 to cross ahead of us. Got yellow, but then we got a red, which you can see in front, right at the end of the tunnel. So we'll just creep along. I'm sure that's going to change. And it has done. The end of this tunnel's bright. Are we going to fall off the edge? the speed off. I can see the rain is just starting to lift. This is a nice effect. The sun just starting to poke through the rain. Looks quite good there. Hope that comes through on YouTube, because that looks quite good. So we're on the final approach pretty much now to Euston, 1.3 miles. We've got a 25 just before we get to the station. So go and give this one a go. This is called Watford Bypass, this scenario, if you've not already run it. Make sure you get your safety systems on. Especially given the fact that there are so many changes to the signals as we go. You just get that audible warning. Which definitely helps. Have a look outside, shall we? So I mean, the rain coming through that sun is quite nice. Quite a nice effect, that. Let's brake for the 25. Right outside Euston now. Platform 7 is where it's going to put us as another Pendle leaves. There's 15 signs here at the edge of the platform, so they're not marked actually in the game. In the HUD, that is. However, I'm assuming that the speed in all the platforms is 15, up to 15. So let's do that, shall we? Let's find the wipers. Where's the wipers? There they are. We'll turn those off now that we're coming into the station. Hopefully that box clears. I can see where the buffers are, because that wouldn't be any good. Let's just bring it nicely to a stop. And we can get the doors open. And this is us at London Euston. There's a collectible there, by the way, which I've already collected. That's one of the Amazon robots. So I hope you've enjoyed this little scenario. It was a nice little run. The weather's improved down at Euston. Thanks for all your support. Take it easy, enjoy the game, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.